Also, we coming from, hi Jenny, welcome. Oops, rotate device back, okay. All right, there we go. Now I'm on YouTube too. Perfect. Okay. Texas, all right, we're in Texas. Yay, Sharon, I'm glad we got it to work. Some people had a hard, oh no, this didn't start at 4. No, this just started. Actually, it didn't even start yet. It didn't even start yet. You guys are all early birds. Good job. I'm in here early because yesterday, if you saw the recording, I had a lot of issues. Sometimes Facebook is buggy. Today it was fine. So it's a little buggy about doing lives in groups, and I don't know what it is. Sometimes I go in and I'm live, but I can't see anything. Yesterday I was frozen for a long time. Hi everybody in YouTube. It's frustrating and it looks so unprofessional. It drives me crazy. I just feel like, oh my God, it looks so unprofessional. But I can assure you, Aubriana and I have been working on this, trying to make sure we get in and it doesn't have quirks. And the thing is, it's not us. It's just Facebook has a quirk, and I've heard it from other people who have groups on Facebook. So hello everyone from YouTube. We got Tallahassee, we got West Virginia. What part of West Virginia? My sister-in-law has a place in, I'm not going to think of the name, but it's some trendy place that a lot of DC people go to. What gibberish on your text? Great. We got New Jersey, Elizabeth. Wonderful. I struggled getting here because I came on from YouTube. My handle was there. Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah, either one, whatever works for you. So we're going to start just in about a minute here. Take a sip of my coffee. We've got Cape Coral. Oh, wonderful. Virginia. We got Bridgeport, West Virginia. Wonderful. Okay. So if you're wondering why I keep looking up, it's just because, maybe I can put my phone further down. That might be easier. Let's see. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, that's better. Okay, great. Okay, Carrie, the Google Sheet is where you can put your questions in, okay? So it's just easy for us to track the questions when they're in the Google Sheet as opposed to going through all the comments. And especially the fact that we've got YouTube and we have Facebook going at once. I just don't want to miss anyone's questions. And so what Aubriana does, she's here right now. Thank you so much, Aubriana. She takes all your questions and she puts them in there. But if you put them in ahead of time, you definitely get your question answered, because I'm going to start with those questions that people already put in our Google Doc. And so let's just go ahead and get started here. We've got Shelbyville and another Texas. So great. Okay, well, I see Bree saying today was a lot of fun. Ooh, I'm so excited. Yeah, so today was, I'm glad it was fun. Today was, I like to rewatch the lessons again before I come to these Q&As, so I'm super fresh, and everything, because these were recorded a bit ago. And I wondered, I'm like, gosh, it's a really quick lesson, but maybe not. How long did it take you guys? I'm kind of curious. How long did it take you to do that background layer? Because our goal today was to kind of get the idea of a composition, to get some colors down, and to get a few little fun, playful, effects in there. And usually the first layer is the easiest because you're just sort of going for it in a way. You should have felt pretty loose and free. And as I look at the media that on the Facebook page here, because as you all know, people are posting their paintings on Facebook. Yay. I see that there's some really great stuff. And I like that some of the colors are a bit different, and that's awesome. So, okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and just do a few more things in terms of schedule, and then we'll get to the questions. So today, lesson 1 came. I released it early yesterday, like a little surprise, just because I was so excited and it was Sunday and I thought some people might want to get started, but you'll get the next lesson. It goes out midnight Eastern time. And that's because of our friends in Australia and New Zealand and Europe who, can't join in the middle of the night for them. So you'll get the lesson tomorrow morning if you're in the US, and the next lesson just takes up to the next layer, basically, and we're adding some more details. And then we'll have another Q&A tomorrow, same time, same places. And also, you should have gotten your creative meditation today. So I'd love to know what you guys think about that. If you have questions about that, if you want to ask why I'm doing that, happy to answer that. And then also one more thing that I wanted to tell you about, was I made a web page, a home page yesterday for this challenge. And I'm just calling it the Abstract Landscape Challenge homepage. I'm gonna put it in the Facebook group. It's easy for me to do it because in Facebook, I'm on my computer. In YouTube, it takes a lot more typing. But I emailed, the email is gonna come to you all tonight with the link. And in the Facebook group, I put it at the top. If you're in YouTube and you're not on Facebook, if you want to shoot me an email at support@santafepaintingworkshops.com or reply to any of my emails, I'm happy to give you that link because I have the schedule, I have the Facebook group, the links for the live group, the creative meditations, how to sign up for the live class, like everything's there. So the supply list. So if you're like confused and you don't want to search through your email, everything's on there. Login issues. Most of the login issues, we actually have not had a lot today, so yay. Usually it's just the password. You just have to reset your password. So if you go to that homepage that I set up, it will show you like images of what it looks like to reset your password, okay? Alrighty, I'm gonna jump into these questions. So Sarah asked, why do my colors look so much brighter than yours? I was using the same colors. Okay. And Sarah, was it the same brand? Was it Golden Paints? So yeah, was it golden? I want to know that, Sarah, if you could let us know. And let us, I don't know if you're in YouTube or if you're in Facebook. So look out for Sarah Abriana for her answer to that, because I'll just answer this I'll answer both. If you're using the same brand, I don't know what it would be so much brighter. That's weird. And I would love to look at your piece. Maybe in the Facebook group, when you post it, ask me, hey, why are these colors so much brighter? Okay. And then if you didn't use the same brands, sometimes the colors are different. Okay, she's on Facebook. Got it. Okay, so great. So yeah, definitely, Sarah, put that in the Facebook group, okay? So I can look at it and let us know if you used Golden brand paints or not. Because if you didn't, that's why. If you did, I don't know, and I'll have to look at it. I mean, some of my colors, they mixed with each other as I put them on, right? And so, like I made that peachy color that I didn't love very much, and it was Golden cheap paint. Cheap paint from Michaels. That's why. Okay, so you want to just tone down your colors a little bit. And in the first lesson, I added this today. Sometimes I get these ideas, I'm like, I should put this in here. So in lesson 1, if you need to learn how to mix some of the colors, I know the colors were kind of specific. So I write down how to mix turquoise, how to mix the yellow, similar yellow, how to mix the red purple. So yeah, so even the cheap paint for Michaels, like I think that's the Artist Loft brand, should work if you mix up your colors and also neutralize them a little bit. So your red purple was probably really bright. To neutralize red purple, you'd put it in maybe a green or a yellow green in there to tone it down a bit, or you can add a little bit of brown, okay? So tone down your colors a little bit. In the yellows, add a little bit of purple or a little bit of brown, okay? So that's my guess, is that you're using these bright colors that aren't, because the colors from Golden are already a little bit more neutralized. So, okay, I'm gonna take a sip of coffee. Oh, good. I'm glad you like the meditation. I just had this idea one day, like that, because so many of us struggle with like doing art, feeling like we're worth it, feeling like, well, who am I to be an artist? I've never went to art school. I'm not some genius that was, born with this gift. And it's just a myth. Those are not true. It's just, I've been teaching, I taught for 18 years in the middle and high school. Okay. I taught middle schoolers how to paint, how to draw. If I can do that, I can teach anybody. That's what I say. You just have to want to learn. You have to want to do it. And those meditations, that first one was about that. If you didn't watch the first meditation, that was in the welcome party yesterday. I did it live. So check that welcome party recording out. You would have gotten an email yesterday. If you join the challenge today, you may not have gotten that email. So go to our homepage and you can get it there. And then you got the second one today. The next one's coming, I believe, Wednesday. Okay, next question. Is gesso important if using 300-pound watercolor paper? Here's the thing about if you don't do gesso on the watercolor paper. First of all, what is gesso for anyone who doesn't know? Gesso is like your primer, okay? So it's a white, heavy-bodied titanium white, basically, okay? And so it's what is on those canvases that you buy stretched. That's gesso, that white that's on there. The gesso creates a layer, and it's an area, it creates a layer that the paint can stick to. So if you have gesso, you are going to have a little bit more of, let's see, the paint won't soak into the paper. If you don't use gesso, the paint soaks into the paper and you get a different look. And if you're using acrylic, you'll need some layers before you start to get rid of that soaked paper look and you get into more the thick paint look, okay? So if you like watercolor, if you don't mind a little bit of the watery and the paper showing through, you don't have to. You can just totally do it on watercolor paper. Okay, I'd like to paint snow-covered abstract Swiss mountains without making them look kitschy. I want a modern abstract style. What are your tips? I would do that with a palette knife. I wouldn't use a brush. And a modern abstract style, I would throw black in there. I would do like white, light blue, black, because it's kind of modern and cool, right? And I would remove some details, and I would get a reference image. I would get some reference images of the Swiss mountains that I like, and then I would also get some reference images of some modern abstract landscapes that capture the modern abstract style. You know what I mean? So like then I would try to put those things together. I'm not one to sketch, but in this situation, you might sketch it out first. You might sketch it even on like watercolor paper and just, try some different ideas. But the palette knife will loosen you up because when we use a brush, we get really exact, and the palette knife it's like a little bit more separation and we're looser. So, okay, what techniques do you use to blend colors, especially when cool is next to a warm? And I just want to ask a quick question of Aubriana. Aubriana, I'm not sure if you're on our Facebook group, our YouTube group. But if you are, there's definitely some questions coming in there too. If you just go to my YouTube channel, Aubriana, I don't know if that's possible. You can just let me know in this little document here. If not, I'll go through. What techniques do you use to blend colors, especially when cool is next to a warm? Okay. Blending the cool to the warm, I think is what you're saying, right? So yeah, because when you're going to blend cool to a warm, okay, thank you, Aubriana. She added them, those of you in YouTube. You're going to get a muddy color, right? Because let's just say we have blue is our cool and orange is our warm, and we try to blend those. We're going to get a little bit of a muddyish, orangish, or bluish there in the middle. So, basically, I don't know how it's different than blending warm versus cool or just any two colors, but if you think about your painting, here's layer of orange, here's layer of blue. See this line in between the two colors? I'm just like going like this, right? That is where you're gonna start with your brush, right on this line, okay? And you're gonna go back and forth there until you see the line disappear between the orange and the blue. Back and forth, all the way across the whole canvas. Then you're gonna slowly either go down or you're gonna go up. And that's how you get that sort of ombre blend. If Maureen, that's not answering your question in terms of warm and cool, let me know, because I wonder if what you're asking is like, are you worried about the mud? And if you're worried about the mud, then I wouldn't do orange and blue. I would do like, the warm would be maybe orange and the cool would be like purple, red or something. So you're not gonna get as much mud. How long do you like your gesso to dry? I like it to dry for probably about like 15 to 20 minutes. I live in a dry area though, so it's gonna dry faster than maybe if you live in a humid area. So you can also blow dry it like we did today in our first lesson. We blow dried, right? Some of the layers there. So you can also do that. Just again, keep in mind that when you're putting water, if you're putting a wet t-shirt that's cotton in the dryer, it's gonna shrink. So the same thing happens with your canvas. And I've warped canvases before. It actually warps the wood because the canvas pulls so tight. So just be careful. Not too much, heat on there. Do you need the gesso of pre-primed canvas? No, you do not need to gesso a pre-primed canvas. You can just start right on that. Some people like to do, I know of someone who does 7 layers of gesso, which is such patience. Some people like to do 2 layers on top. And here's why. Because if you resolve your painting quickly and you're seeing a lot of like the grid of the, what's it called? Like the gesso, it's kind of factory gesso, right? It's really perfectly put on. I don't love how that looks. However, I put so many layers of my paintings almost all of the time that you never really get to see that sort of factory gesso grid. But some people don't like that texture, and that's why they gesso. They'd prefer to have like, a smoother background or like the brush marks. So that is a personal call. Haven't started, I guess it's fear, not sure how to start. All right, Cindy, have you started the did you do the lesson today? That's what and I know on YouTube, just, you know, on YouTube, it's, anyone could have joined this Q&A, and this Q&A, just so you know, because as you all know, yesterday, I could not get YouTube to work on my phone with the Q&A I scheduled ahead of time. I don't know why they didn't let me do it. So I didn't want to mess with it today. I just went live on my channel. So if you're in here and you're not in the challenge, this is really about the challenge that we're doing right now. And if you go to any of my recent videos, I've got the link in the chat box so you can actually sign up for it. But that's kind of what we're focused on. But so Cindy, have you done the lessons? I want to know the answer to that. If you could just let us know. And then while I wait for your answer, I'm going to go to the next one. Do you sand between layers of gesso? Some people do sand. And they sand, thank you for the question, Barbara, because they want that smooth surface. And I don't personally. No, I'm a texture mama. I mean, this behind me, you can't really tell. This is like crazy texture from natural pigments I grind down. I like texture. I like you to know that it's not, that it's paint or that it's rocks. You know, I'm not trying to be smooth and slick. Okay, so, but it's up to you, Barbara. If you like that smooth look, when I want a smooth look, I work on panel, like a wood panel, because they are usually very smooth and I'll get that effect if I want it. So back to Cindy. So you have done the lesson. Okay. Did you watch it and not start yet? Okay, so let's talk about this. So Cindy is, you know, thank you for saying this vulnerable question, putting it out there. It is scary when to paint, because what we're doing is we feel really vulnerable. We're putting ourselves out there. We're worried that someone's going to judge it. Or even if no one's there to judge, we know that we might judge it. So I totally understand. And what we want to do is just get into the sort of young mind of like, when I put brushes and paint in the hands of well, they're now 7 and 9, but you know, even now they'll just go for it. They'll just paint. And so I want you to tap into maybe that, you know, child in you that would have been given a brush and some colors and what you would have done. And like, see this as an experiment, as a game, you know, don't see it as something serious and like, oh, if it's bad, what am I going to do? You know, you never have to post your painting on Facebook if you don't want to. You never have to show anyone, and you can paint over the thing. You can paint over it with one color, you can gesso over it, and you can get rid of it. I can't tell you how many terrible paintings I've done. I've been painting for 30 years. I have done my share of terrible paintings. And sometimes I do in-person classes and retreats. By the way, I've got my last retreat coming up in October. My September one is sold out. So if you want to do it in person in Santa Fe, it's super fun. But sometimes in the retreats, you know, I'm demoing and I'm going fast. And sometimes it looks terrible and it's embarrassing, you know? So it's like 30 years painting and it still happens to me. It's part of the process, especially with abstraction. Because as I said in today's lesson, you know, and I didn't mean to say that realism is easy. I didn't want to sort of ruffle any feathers there. It's not easy. You know, realism is not easy. But we have a picture that we get to copy. Here's the composition. Here's the colors. Here's how big the vase should be. In abstraction, it's coming out of nothing. It's coming from ourselves. Even when you're following me, none of you have an exactly same painting as me right now. So that makes you feel vulnerable. And I don't know if any of that helps, Cindy. I hope it does. I don't know if I address what your fear actually is, you know, if it's sort of fear of judgment and things like that. But I sure do hope that helps. And if you have any follow-up questions, I'm happy to answer that. Okay, I'm going to go back up here. We've got some more coming in. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, how do we get accepted into the Facebook section? I have requested. Jude, I have not seen your request, and I have been on it. The only time I'm not on it, Brianna and I are on it, is the middle of the night for us in the US. That'll be 7 hours from now. But we are on it all day, and I've been letting people in. I mean, there are times when we had some gaps, but now that the challenge is happening, I've been on it a lot. So, Jude, double check that there's a few things, and this is on our homepage. Number one, for the Facebook folks, you have to be signed into your personal Facebook account. If you're signed in with the business account, it won't let you in. It won't even give you the option to try to get in. So make sure you sign in with your personal account, and then make sure you answer the questions. The question about your email address is because Sometimes spammers come in and they, try to sell stuff or whatever. And so to keep them out, we ask for the email address, and we go into my email platform and we check every single person that wants to get in. Now, Jude, I know you, Jude K, if that's who you are. She's done an in-person class and retreat with me, both. So if I see your name, I'm letting you in a hot second. So yeah, just make sure you go to that email or go to that homepage, look at the Facebook sort of troubleshooting, and we should be able to get you worked out. Okay, do we need to be following your demo exactly, or can we do our own image? You do not have to follow me exactly. Because I'm not a big fan of like paint and sip. Like when I teach in-person classes, it's not paint and sip. It's like, let me show you this technique and now you go. And it's rare that students are doing the painting I'm doing, like they're doing it their own way. But it's totally okay to do exactly what I'm doing. I think it depends on how much experience you have. If you're a newbie, just kind of follow me close-ish, okay? Because you guys are gonna learn this in our last class Thursday or Friday, whichever one you sign up for. It's the live class. And just a reminder, the bonus for that, if you show up live to that live class, because I'm a teacher and it's so important to me that you show up so you can get the theory behind all this, is lifetime access to these lessons, okay? Usually this is a $49 course without all the other stuff. You're getting like today's Q&A and things. So that's also on the homepage at the very bottom. You can click that link and sign up for the live class, okay? So anyway, nope, you don't have to follow me exactly, because I know you, Jude, have been painting for quite a long time. Just do whatever feels right for you. So if you're more advanced, feel free, change colors if you want, change, composition. If some of you guys saw one of the Facebook posts that had 4 different student paintings, and they were different. One was like a river and one was an ocean. You can totally interpret it how you want to. Do you have a photo of the end product? It's hard to be doing the exercise without seeing or knowing what we are trying to paint. The end product is an image of that on our Facebook page, which you haven't gotten into yet. There's an image of that on the homepage, so you can go to that. And it should be on the actual class that you signed up for. When you bought the course, in the sort of course little thingy there's an image of the final painting right behind there. So they're all over the place. Okay, Melania, how much paint do I need to put in the brush? Because it's drying pretty fast and not blending properly. So yeah, I would say then you need more paint, spritz some water in there. And there are, if you're using acrylic, which I'm assuming you are, you can buy acrylic retarders. They help the paint to dry slower. They don't work amazingly. They're okay. They give you like another 5 minutes or so. Put more paint on your palette. Like put a big glob of paint and use the cans. Like you can use, whatever kind of can. You can taller cans, any kind of container, yogurt containers, and cover those up, okay? And then take out what you need, mix it up, and then put the can back on top, get the paint you need, put the can back on top. It's a little cumbersome, but that will keep the paint wet. And for blending, you also might want to try Golden Mix acrylic glazing medium. They have satin and gloss. That will also, it's slow drying, so it keeps your paint from drying as quick, and it also creates a bit of a glaze. It also extends your paint, so you get like more paint, for a less cost. Okay, so I'm going back to Cindy, who said, remember she said she was scared to start. Always worried I have the right supplies. Went to Michael's early. Okay, so you had some anxiety about having the right stuff. Okay, that's what I'm gonna go a little further on worry, anxiety, and you're doubting yourself. You're doubting that you don't have the creativity to figure it out if you don't have the right supplies. There really is no right supplies. Like someone wrote and said, it's hard for me to get the pretty houseware brush. No big deal. Just use a bigger brush. Use one of those foam brushes. Use a wet rag to cover big areas. This is where creativity comes in. If I tell you, I want you to draw 8 lines on this square canvas, you have to intersect 2, you have to make 1 thick, 1 thin, 1 dotted. Like there's 1,000 different ways there's more than 1,000. There's many, many, many ways that problem could be solved. So I want you, Cindy, to think, and this is part of Creative Meditation 1. If you haven't done Creative Meditation 1, Cindy, go do that. Watch the welcome party yesterday. Because part of it is like you have a problem and you just want to find 5 different ways to solve it instead of just 1 different way. Okay, you have the right supplies, you have exactly what you need. I don't care if you don't have the right colors. go cool, warm. When I use ultramarine, which is a blue violet, you use blue. When I use quinacridone magenta, you use red or purple. I want you to learn, and you're not going to learn unless you do, okay? When I have a master's in art education, I did that at University of New Mexico a couple years back, and one of my favorite classes was about research. And in this class, it said, in order to learn, you have to do. We don't just think. You know, we can't figure out how to paint by just thinking about it and sketching our ideas and just in our head and, I gotta figure it out first. No, you figure it out by doing. That's how you figure it out. You don't learn how to drive a car by studying the manual. You learn by putting your foot in that pedal, right? So the same thing with art, okay? Anything else, Cindy, we can address, let me know, okay? Jane asked, what do you like to use for a palette? Well, I love my glass palette that I was using in the tutorial. And actually, since I've recorded that the abstract lesson you all are doing, I actually have a YouTube on how to make the glass palette. It's very easy. Although you can buy them on Amazon. They're just not as big as I'd like. So you can look up glass palette on Amazon or, you know, some other place. But, you know, maybe Brianna, if you're not crazy busy with all the questions, maybe you can put a link to that in the box in Facebook, or, you know, we can put it in the Facebook group today. And for those of you in YouTube, maybe we can actually just put it in the email next, how to make a glass palette. Okay. I use plastic containers with lids and mix a bunch of paint and bring out a little at a time. That's a great idea, Jenny, for keeping your paint wet longer. Yeah, you can buy, this is gonna sound really gross, but you can buy urine specimen jars from Amazon, okay? They're clean. I bought 100 for 20 bucks many years ago. I still have some left. And they are little jars, and they're clear, so you can see the color, and they have lids. And so you could mix up, let's say you don't have the quinacridone magenta, mix up red, purple, and maybe just a little touch of yellow in there to just tone it down a bit. And then mix a bunch and stick it in that container and close it up. So that's a great idea for, yeah, that's just a great idea. Okay, Diane, you are in the Facebook group, if that's what you're asking. Yeah, in fact, I think I just let you in before this class. Unless you didn't give us the email address or something. So yeah, let's, you know, we're letting in, as long as people are putting the email in there, we're letting people in. So I thought I just added you beforehand. So double check that, okay? All right, what else do we have here? What other questions? Let me go back to the questions here. Okay, no more questions. Okay, so what other questions are coming up right now? Oh, hi, Dee Dee. Okay, got it. Okay, anything else? All right, so while you're maybe trying to think of other questions, let me know in the chat box here. How did today go? What was easy? What was hard? How long did it take you? Like, I'm just really curious. So let me know. Okay, Annie said, I feel like my bottom layer, hold on, let me just move this over. My bottom layer did not have enough paint on the canvas. After spraying for drips, some areas of the canvas were very thinly covered. I assume this will take care of itself as we add layers. Yeah, we're gonna add more layers. But Annie, put your question in the Facebook group and just maybe, you know, put this question, like I wanna see it because I don't know what really thin looks like to you. I know what it means to me. Like, I might want to say, hey, just do one more layer of turquoise or, you know, or the ultramarine or something like that, but I'd like to see it. Are you in our Facebook group, Annie? I mean, what I would say is like, intuitively, it seems to me like you're saying it might be a bit thinly covered. So here's two options. One option is you go in and do another layer, or you wait till tomorrow and you make sure your layers are a bit thicker. But I will say on the bottom, we don't go, I almost want to run and grab the painting, but like we do like another layer or two, but it's pretty thin on the bottom. So you might just do another layer down there, okay? So the Facebook page is the Abstract Landscape Challenge. If you check your email when you join the challenge, it has a link, or you can go to that homepage that I discussed, and you can you can get to the Facebook group from there. How do I make a straight horizon line? Oh yeah, so here's what I do. So I get a ruler, and let's say I want to do a horizon line down here at the bottom. So I measure. So I'll measure, let's say I want my line here. I'll measure and see, okay, that's 2 inches, let's say. I measure on 2 inches on the other side. And so you have 2 lines there, and then you get a big meter stick and you connect that line. That's how you get it square, okay? Because otherwise your line could be like, right? I'm going to be adding a little mountain thing, okay? So there's gonna be a little mountain because I look at mountains all day long. So it's not gonna, my painting won't stay straight in terms of the horizon line, but you can keep it straight. That's totally fine. Oh, great, Colleen. Sweet. All right, Colleen. Well, you signed up just now. That's awesome. So you will get the information in your email. So just look out for that. Okay. Excellent. So anyone else? What other questions do you have? The drip was fun but scary. Thanks for saying that. Yay. It was a bit of a risk, wasn't it? And I like to throw in the creative risks because if we don't take some risks, we're not going to get a really, I don't want to say we're not going to get a cool thing, but like we need to take a little bit of risk to sometimes push that boundary. It's why my online course is called Abstraction Beyond Boundaries, because we've got to push beyond our boundaries a little bit, because otherwise our abstract painting looks like every other person's abstract painting, So if we're not messing around with different tools, if we're not doing that scary drip or splatter or whatever it might be, it can look safe. We don't want our artwork to look safe. So Yvonne, you can sign up with, let's see, what I'm gonna do, Yvonne, is I'm gonna put, after this video is finished, I will put a link, unless Aubriana can easily throw the link on there, okay? Yeah, we'll put the link in the comments here, okay? So just give us a second. Aubriana will see if she can do it, and if not, I'll do my best to get that in there. I can't comment on my video while I'm presenting, and I can't do it even on my computer. So, all right, should we complete the lessons before the Q&A? It is helpful, and I'm gonna get to you next, Robin. It's helpful to do the lessons before the Q&A, because then if you had a problem, like someone said, I think my layers are too thin, right? I got scared, I couldn't even start, I can address your questions about that day's lesson. So that's why I schedule them later in the day. Of course, it's later in the day for some of us. We're all in different time zones. I saw someone on here from Australia, which I think it's very early in the morning there. So ideally you're doing the lesson before, the Q&A. But if you don't, life happens and it's fine. It's all good. There's 3 Q&As. There's today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. And then in the live class, there'll be some Q&A, but not as much because the presentation's a bit longer. So, okay. How many layers can you make on one painting? Oh man, I wonder how many layers is the most I have on a painting. Probably like 50. You can just layer upon layer upon layer. I say the more layers, the better. One of the big pitfalls, I think, of new painters is they don't have enough layers. They call it done too quickly. And I've been working with beginners for, well, let's see, 20 years or so, 18 years, okay? If we count my middle school painting, and then I've been teaching adults for at least 15 years now. That's the biggest thing, layers, layers, layers. Throw a bunch of layers in there, like 5, 6, and then start your painting, okay? Try that as a challenge. After this challenge, do a painting where you make yourself do 6 layers. They don't have to be all the way covered, but 6 layers, and then you start your painting, seriously, okay? Layers create depth, mystery, intrigue. What's behind that layer? It creates glazing. It creates a translucency. We can see from one layer to the next layer. You don't want to make really thick, opaque layers. You want to have some see-throughness, right? I love layers. Never too many. I'm about to start. I was too nervous because the colors I have aren't exactly what you said we needed initially. Yeah, and I think, thanks for saying that. And I think I need to update my supply list for next time if I do this challenge again to give those directions for the colors that you can use other colors and you can mix them yourself. And so, yes, thank you for saying that. I hope you got, if you were here the whole time, that in lesson 1, I actually wrote down how to mix each color, okay, if you want to. All right, if using WC, watercolor, will I need to spray with a fix between layers? Let's see. Well, I guess I don't think so, because as long as you let those layers dry all the way, which I know is a bit longer in watercolor sometimes, then it should be fine. But if you want to like fix maybe just that base layer, but it's not like with acrylic, and especially if we're using the cheaper paints, when they dry, this is why I don't like Liquitex Basics, because if you get a wet rag, you can rub Liquitex Basics right off. And that's why I don't like it. I actually, in my classes, I've used Artist Loft, the Michaels brand that someone else said they use. They are actually better in some ways, and they're a lot cheaper too. So I would say you probably don't, but because when it's dry, it's really hard to wipe off watercolor. So I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah. Okay, Sarah doesn't have a Facebook account. Okay. So, and okay, gotcha. Sarah, so, just email me, okay? And I'll answer your question. Okay, Sarah? Just reply to any of the emails. Do you always paint on an easel instead of flat? I usually paint on an easel. And the only times I paint flat is if I've done one of my techniques. It's like my signature technique is the rubbing alcohol technique, where it wants to be flat because I don't want it to drip. But for the most part, if it's like maybe really thick texture and I need to have some force on it, I'll do flat. But I almost always paint, on an easel. It's totally personal though. Either one works fine. I know a bunch of people who prefer a table. So, okay, what other questions do we have? How can we share our painting for feedback on YouTube? Deborah, the place for the feedback is the Facebook group. If you don't have a Facebook account, if you don't want a Facebook account, just shoot me an email and we will let you know what you can do, okay? And we've been emailing today, Deborah, so you've got my email address. Alrighty, so I wanna see if I have missed any questions. What else can I answer for you all? And then Aubriana, were you able to get that link in the YouTube? I know you're like juggling a lot of things right now, but if not, I can actually do it when I finish with the questions. Okay, anything else I can answer for you all? I see one more coming through here. Let's see. Or maybe that's just me. Okay. Okay. All right. So if you have any other questions, I'll just talk for a few more minutes here. How does watering down paint make the painting sturdy? Doesn't make it sturdy. Ask Dee, give me a little more. Yeah, ask that again, because it's the opposite. Watering down your paint. All right, we water down the paint in the first lesson. First of all, because that first layer, I want it to dry quickly. I don't want really thick paint. If I don't like my composition and I've got really thick paint, it leaves those lines. So, and actually watering down paint makes the paint less, right? Like less adhesive, strong. But I'll tell you, I have done a ton of water in my paint. Some people say don't do more than like 60% water. I have not had an issue. I've been selling my paintings for 18 years. You varnish well, you use good paint, you use medium, it's not an issue. Can someone still start with the classes? Yes, Jerry, you're not too late. The first lesson was today, and it's pretty quick. I mean, you could do the whole painting in probably 2 sessions. So you can absolutely start, and we're gonna get that link in the box in YouTube in a second here. So, okay, does the paint break down with water? So again, here's what you can do, Dee. If you're worried about that, Golden makes a product. It's called Wetting Agent. And what it does, it acts like water, but it has chemicals in there to actually keep the saturation of the color. And there's directions on the bottle, it's concentrated, so you actually mix it with water. So if you want to use something like that, it makes you feel more comfortable than just water. I do like that product, Golden Wetting Agent. Golden's the best acrylic paint you can buy. It's very expensive, but the mediums are reasonable. But I have put 80% water, 20% paint in my paints before. It's fine. I use good quality paint and I varnish. If you varnish, you're good. And if someone has had a different experience, let me know. But I have paintings that have been sitting around here for like 15 years and nothing's happening to those paintings with lots of water. So Cowgirl Jane, I see the second part of a question. To clean your brushes, I'm an oil painter. Do you use soap on your brushes to wash? Yeah, so for oil, you're going to use your turpentine first, right? And get all that guck off and use a paper towel. And then use, I like the Masters. I'm sure a lot of you have that tub, the Masters. That's the soap that a lot of people like. Blue Dawn you can use, but Blue Dawn, little note about Blue Dawn, because that's what they used to clean up the oil spill in Texas many years ago to clean the ducks who got covered with oil. So Blue Dawn will make your natural bristle brushes dry. So don't use dish soap on natural bristle brushes. A lot of people do dish soap, and I figured this out because my really nice favorite brush that I used in the lesson today, that Escoda brush, it was starting to get really dry, and I was like, what's the deal? And I realized because when I teach classes, I just wash everything with the Blue Dawn to be fast. And I realized that was the problem. So the good thing about the Masters brush stuff, it's like a big tub. You can get a smaller tub. You can actually wet your brush and put the Masters soap on there, and it conditions it and it brings it back. So, okay. All right. Someone was talking about gesso. Did we gesso? You don't have to gesso. If you have a pre-gessoed canvas, that's good enough. If you want, I think it was Barbara asked about layers of gesso and sanding in between. Some people like that smooth surface on the background as opposed to the grid of the prefab gesso. So you can do that if you want to. That's totally fine. But you do not have to gesso if it's already gessoed. If you're using watercolor paper, I do recommend gessoing. I just personally don't love how acrylic feels on watercolor paper, and I don't like when it buckles so much. So I gesso watercolor paper. One of your paints was golden fluid. What are the consistencies supposed to be? I would just water them down a little bit. Maybe if you have a heavy body, maybe 10 to 20% water. Probably more like 20%. They're not that fluid, actually they're just a little bit fluid. It's not there's the high fluid. They used to have the high fluid and the low fluid. They're just a little bit thinner. So a little bit of water will be fine. Okay, off topic, how many layers of varnish is best? Yeah, so it depends on the brand, so you have to read the bottle. The Liquitex Paint On that I have, which is actually my favorite now, I think it says you can do 3 or 4 layers. And then Golden, I don't know if they make it anymore, but they had a varnish, a water-based varnish. Actually, they do have it. It's called waterborne varnish. Believe they recommend 2. So it depends on the varnish. I would just read the directions, but I would say at least 2 for most. I usually do 2 is enough for me. I use natural soap from the local market. I have one with coffee beans. Oh, that's a good idea to clean your brushes. A natural soap that won't strip the oils away. Yeah, because soap is made with oil. And Laura uses Murphy's wood oil soap with acrylic. Oh, great. Yeah, so that doesn't strip the oils from the brush. Okay, cool. All right, what other questions do you guys have or comments? Did anyone let us know? I don't see who's letting me know how this first day went for you. And pick the prize, and here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to look at the comments. So get a comment in there real quick if you haven't done something. Okay. So hold on, I need to be able to scroll through these comments. Okay. All right, ready? It's Janine Midkiff. Janine Midkiff, you are the winner. Please email me and we will get you your gift certificate to Dick Blick so you can buy some fun new paint supply. Great. Okay. So congrats. Yay. I like to give you guys a little bonus. So the teacher in me wants to give you a little encouragement. So, I'm so glad, Janine, you learned a lot, and, about 30 minutes, it looks like for the lesson. Good. That's what I was hoping. So awesome. If you didn't do your painting yet, work on it today, because tomorrow we're going to continue on, okay, and do more layers. And tomorrow we'll have the Q&A at the same time, same place. And what else? If you didn't sign up for the live class yet, please do so. It's going to be all the info behind what I'm doing. If you notice what in the lesson, I'm telling you to do things, but I don't tell you why, okay? Because I don't want your brain, you're in your right brain mode when you're painting. I don't want to put you over into left brain mode and get you analytical. So we're in right brain mode, we're painting, just making our things, flowing. But then Thursday and Friday, it's at the college lecture, okay? It's the slides, it's the vocab. And it's so important, because if you want to replicate the ease with which I hope you're going to have this week with this painting, you need to understand why we're doing what we're doing, okay? So it's so important. Please sign up, and the link is in the emails, okay? It's on our homepage. And in YouTube right now, I'm going to give you the link to sign up for this challenge, okay? So I'm going to close it off here in Facebook. I'm going to stay on YouTube to get you guys that link. Unless, Aubriana, you already did it, let me know if you did. And I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and we will see you tomorrow, everyone. Okay, stay on for YouTube, okay, if you want that link. All right, give me 1 second. I just have to go to my... Okay, now can I comment? Let's see. Let's see, add, no. Oh, I tried this yesterday and I couldn't do it. Nope. Share, nope. Copy link, create post, nope. Okay, friends, sorry. I don't do a lot of live on YouTube. I'm new to this, so be patient with me. Okay, well, email me, okay? So here's the email address, support@SantaFePaintingWorkshops.com. If you go into my page, okay, here on my channel, the little, little intro, I'm sure somewhere on there I've got my email address, and if I don't, you can go to my website and you can contact me, okay? And I'll send you the link today, okay? So, and YouTubers, any other questions? Yeah, and Dee Dee will work that out. I swear I let you in before we started, but just make sure, Dee Dee, you put the email you signed up for in the challenge, okay? All right, everyone. Hope you have a great day.